Ever wonder how they get those really awesome arc shots that aren't completely whiting out the camera? Me too. So we're going to try something today. And that is, we're going to take a GoPro and stick it behind the welding helmet and see if that works. Because it'd be great to be able to give you guys those really awesome shots that all the other fancy welders do that, well, I'm not that fancy, but we're going to try. Let's do this and let's try not to break something. So here's the helmet you're wearing. Okay. It's auto-doing and it does everything you need to do. Here's the helmet you're going to be holding.
Okay.
Here's the camera you're going to be holding. Like that. See how this lens sits? Basically perfectly up, flat against that.
Okay. It's too big.
Go ahead and put it on.
Okay.
You good? Can you see this one?
Yeah. And where am I standing?
Right over here. You get it?
Maybe.
Alright, we're going to do it again. So it doesn't look like I have the sensitivity set up correctly on the helmet, but I do think we're headed in the right direction. We're going to make a stand for this. And the premise behind it is that essentially we're going to go ahead and build a frame that'll sit in between there. It's going to measure in between here. And we'll start kind of piecing things together. So we've got, it's upside down for you guys, but about 7 inches. So we'll plan on 7 inches and then it'll pinch and move and whatnot, which should work pretty well. And then from there, you guys can see, it's about 6 inches. So we need a 7-inch piece, probably a 5.5-inch piece. And then we need to make a stand for it. So the stand, if we're kind of looking at it from this angle, if I'm sitting on there, I'm at about 10 inches and I'd like to be able to manipulate it up and down a little bit. So I think I'm going to go with an 11-inch base and we'll see how it all turns out. So this we're going to cut down to 7 inches, which is going to go in between the helmet, between the ears, where the ears essentially go. And then it's going to be 11 inches for the height. It's basically just going to be a T on top of each other. There is 11 inches. And as you can tell, space is a premium in my shop. And the great thing about this is that we're not dealing with the exact values at this point. Close enough for what we're doing is perfect, but square will make things a whole lot easier. Let the fun begin. This is a noisy saw. Makes nice cuts though. one down. Cut number 2. So that is what we are looking for. So since we got those, we'll go ahead and put those aside. So this is the point that I changed the design from using the flat stock to the bar stock for the base. The base ended up being made of 2 4-inch pieces, and then the remaining 9 or 10-inch piece that was left, they were welded together at the center, and it made a nice cross. Okay. So now we have what should be our base. And I guess it would probably be wise to go ahead and weld this guy up first, and then we'll put the top on and go from there. I'm going to clean up these edges real quick with the vise with the angle grinder. Grinding those, we're doing a couple of things. We're taking off the mill scale, which is part of the hot rolling process, and essentially it's an incredibly hard surface that makes welding just an absolute nightmare, and you don't want to weld through it. The other thing we're doing is I'm adding a little bit of an angle to the top corners of the top edges, I guess, of each piece. And what that's doing is that'll allow the weld to properly penetrate and kind of fillet in there. I believe fillet is the correct term. But either way, grinding is not much fun. So let's get started welding. So what I'm doing now is doing a rough setup, measuring, making sure that everything's where I want it to be, and then we'll start welding. The process I'm using is TIG. The measure thickness is about 0.70 thousandths. So what I'll do is I'll set the welder to about 70 amps, and then you can manipulate the amount of heat or amps that you put into the actual weld itself with the pedal. In the start, just going to do a quick little tack. And now you're going to be blinded by the light because we haven't made the helmet holder yet. So instead of asking my wonderful bride to sit there and hold the helmet the entire time with the camera behind it, we're going to go ahead and speed up through all the welding because it's just a big giant bright light. And let's get to the finished product. Well, alright, we'll do a little bit of welding. We'll take it. a lot of time is spent manipulating the work and changing its positioning to ensure that you have a good position with the TIG torch. Being able to consistently move the TIG torch will result in a better weld. Not that I'm capable of great welds, but you gotta start somewhere. So what I'm doing here is trying to figure out the best way to go ahead and do this weld. And essentially, the way I'm doing it, what I'm figuring out what my travel path is going to be before I actually go and ignite the torch and get going. But I think I've got it figured out to give me a relatively consistent movement. You'll notice here that I actually zoomed in some, and you can kind of focus on the pedal there and see how my pressure on the pedal correlates with the brightness of the arc. One of the cool things about TIG is it gives you the ability to control the amount of heat and the amount of energy that goes into the weld itself based on your speed and how the puddle looks. Okay, back up to full speed welding. That was fast. So we've obviously made some progress. So I'm going to take a washer. I'm going to go ahead and weld it right on the edge there. And that is what I'm going to use to try and secure this. And that's still very hot, so I need to not touch it anymore. But that's the plan. We'll see if it works. Redacted. Let's try this again. This is actually a good example of using the pedal to increase and decrease the amount of heat that you're putting into the weld itself. So on this weld here, I get really close to burning through the top bar. You can see it on the right hand side as it looks like it's almost about to give away. Yep, actually taking a moment to enjoy what I made. So we've got 6.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and cut that short so that we can have it move a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and do 5.5 inches. And we'll just do one chunk of the square bar. That's about where it's going to be. I'm good with that. Unfortunately, I'm still only working with one camera, so we'll get it figured out with later videos. But until then, sorry. Point of this is to practice, right? That was hot. I think we'll take it. Hey, it's a new day here. We finished up our stand and it's cooled off and everything's pretty freaking solid. We've got some parts left over from the helmet, which is the original. Yep, growing pains. We'll get this figured out. And I've got some bolts from the hardware store. And essentially what we're going to do is these guys fit in these square holes on the side of the helmet right there. As you can see, there's a little edge right there. This camera, which is magnetic. So let's go ahead and get this thing put together. That's my neighbor's V8 at 6 times speed. And that pretty much does it for the helmet. As you can see, we'll take the camera, put it up in here. You can actually see through there a little. That is a welding helmet camera. Let's see how well it works. The blue shop towel is to block any glare. As you can see with the top right corner flickering, the sensitivity settings for the helmet aren't set correctly. However, this has accomplished the task, so we'll finish with a little bit more welding and some flashing on the screen. I think we're going to call this done. I might modify that a little bit because I have a feeling I'm going to need to angle it down a little bit, but it shouldn't be too difficult to do. But thanks for watching. If you learned something or if you enjoyed this or if you're curious how these camera shots are done, well, now I think we have a better idea as a group. Please like and subscribe for some more content from all sorts of crazy stuff like woodworking and silly things like trying to TIG weld and all that other good stuff. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be the person that your dog thinks you are, always. Bye.